for October 23rd, 2020. I would ask the commission to review the minutes from the meeting of October 9. And Aaron, there's a wandering H in Walter Chatham somewhere in the minutes. It moved on you. But otherwise, I thought we were pretty good. That was, a lot of that stuff got pretty complicated, and I thought you caught it well. But commissioners, take a minute, please review the minutes, or hopefully you already have any questions or changes for us. Share them. Otherwise, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as prepared by Aaron.
Motion.
Thanks, you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chip. All in favor by voice?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Good. I mean, none. Aaron, thanks so much. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 certificate of appropriateness votes. They were all very straightforward, with the possible exception of 501 Union, where there was a lot of discussion on what was keeping and what was not keeping. So when we get to that, I'm going to read it. I want to introduce Patrick. He's a colleague or partner of Victoria from the same law firm. And he generously volunteered to stand in as our attorney for this meeting because Victoria couldn't make it.
Hello all.
Thank you.
That's my story. Patrick, I have a question for you.
Yes.
I'm going to read 501. Generally, what we do on the certificate of appropriateness votes is we do them one at a time. I'm wondering if I can identify each of these other than 501 and have a across-the-board vote on 4 of them, just so we don't have to repeat the same ritual incantation on each C of A.
If the commissioners can all attest that they've received these draft certificates and have reviewed them and understand what they will be voting on, then I feel comfortable with that.
They usually do not. It depends on when they come in. These came in sort of last night-ish, but typically the chair reviews them and kind of vets them. Otherwise, I can ask the commissioners to go through each one, or I can ask them to vote on each one.
I think I'd be more comfortable if you went through with your usual procedure.
Okay.
Yeah.
C of A for 255, 259 Union Street, alternate address 35 South Front Street. Motion to approve the C of A as prepared by City Attorney Polidoro. I'll make that motion.
Yep.
Anyone second?
Second.
So that should be 35 South 3rd Street.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did write 35 South 3rd.
They said South Front. That's why I said that.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor? By voice? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. 41-43 North 7th Street, motion to approve the C of A as prepared by City Attorney Polidoro. Anyone? Hugh, thank you. A second. Philip, thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Certificate of appropriateness is approved. Let me read 501 Union because it was a complicated discussion. In essence, we agreed to approve certain work going forward and to exclude the storefront windows based on the discussion. But I want you to hear the specific language on this. Application attached here too. They're going to remove temporary windows, repair lintels, restoration of masonry, remove fire escape, repair or restore some of the shutters, replace first floor windows, and add a new cornice above the storefront windows pursuant to the specifications submitted to the commission in the application. Conditions. The storefront windows on the first floor and the new cornice above the storefront windows are not approved as part of this application. The applicant shall return to the HPC with the revised plans for review. 2, any new mortar used and attached to the existing will be matched, not attached to existing mortar in color composition and substance. The original patina of the brick, to the degree that it's still there, shall be maintained. Any cleaning that is done shall be non-abrasive and not debriding to the finish. So if there are comments, I think Victoria captured that well. I just want to run that past you so that you understand that it's a partial approval of what was submitted, and the applicant, or in this case maybe Walter representing the applicant, will have to come back.
That's my recollection of our discussion. I think it does accurately depict it.
I appreciate that, Chip. Thank you.
Agree with Chip.
Since you're speaking, could you make a motion to approve 501?
Motion.
Please. Anyone?
A second.
Thank you, Philip. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next C of A for voting is 10 Rossman Avenue. May I have a motion to approve 10 Rossman Avenue C of A as prepared by the city attorney?
I make that motion.
Thank you very much. Paul and Philip seconded, I believe. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 126 Warren Street. Motion to approve the survey for 126 Warren Street is prepared by the city attorney. Anyone?
Aye. Motion.
Thank you. Any second, please?
I'll second.
All in favor on 126 Warren Street? Say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? None approved. Okay. In terms of applications, the applicant at 121 Warren Street, did you all get the memorandum and with the photographs from Craig? He sent that out earlier in the week.
I did.
Good. It did go out to everybody. So if the applicant is here from 121 Warren Street, I believe he is, you take us through what you discovered when you removed siding as we requested.
Yep. Hi, everyone. Alex here. So yes, we removed some large chunks of siding on the front of the building and on the side of the building. Different than what I previously thought, the brick at the bottom of the front of the building actually only goes up about one more brick before it's covered by this green wood siding on the front.
Okay, thank you.
So it only goes up about 2 or 3 more inches under that very bottom plank of wood before it's just regular wood framing behind the wood siding there.
I'm sorry, Alex, just 1 second. Could whoever has their phone or audio on who's not speaking well or not part of the commission, could you turn that off? Alex, can you upload the text you sent to Craig with some of those photographs?
Can I upload them?
Upload is the wrong term. Can you share your screen?
Oh, yes. 1 second.
Great, thank you. So start with the picture there and just scroll down through what you sent.
Yep. So this is the front of the building here. This green siding, and there are bricks at the very bottom base of the building. And they only extend about one more brick under the first plank of this siding. And then there's no more bricks underneath all of this. So it's just this wood siding. And this is pretty heavy duty old stuff on the front here. And then on the side, it's a little less heavy duty, a little bit newer, just kind of this blue vanity siding. And again, behind this is just wood framing. And on the side, there's a little bit of this stone kind of foundation here. But again, that doesn't extend any further up underneath this. So what we were proposing in our plan is just redoing all of this siding. And just because, especially the stuff on the front is really not in good shape, was just covered up with this kind of grayish blue vinyl. So we'd like to come in and clean this off, repair what needs to be repaired, and then put wood siding on top of that and paint it kind of a nice historical yellow that we see on a few other buildings on Warren Street and in and around Hudson. So yes, the question was there brick underneath the front or the side? And there is not.
Okay. I think that there was much in there was a possibility that there was a 18th century unicorn hiding.
Worth a look for sure. Absolutely worth a look. And again, like I mentioned on the call last week, I know the owner is, this a lot for us is about fact finding and understanding more of the history of the building and understanding what's underneath things. When he purchased the building in 2004, this sort of vinyl and stuff was just on. And so he hasn't really dug around too much, hasn't explored too much, done a little bit here and there and a little bit in the interior in the basement of the building. But so part of this process for us is learning these things. So then down the line, if we do want to do kind of a full historical renovation, we know what that entails. We know what the materials are underneath and all of that sort of stuff.
Okay. I'm pretty clear, but commissioners, questions or thoughts in terms of going forward on the application as more or less as originally submitted, which is vinyl off and wood siding on.
Could you scroll down to that side, the photograph of the side with it looks like there's a plywood patch in I think it might be your next photograph down.
Is it scrolling for you guys?
No.
Oh, it says it's paused. Hold on.
There we go. Those photographs right there.
Yeah, it looks like this was just a plank that was replaced, possibly because of damage. Or it's possible, I'm not really sure, once we remove all of the siding from the house, because it also has a insulation barrier here underneath the vinyl. It's possible this could be a larger chunk and we may understand why this is there.
I think it's a distinct possibility that might represent a window that was removed when the vinyl siding went up. And that looks like it's a piece of plywood, which would be a construction period not consistent, would be consistent with the vinyl siding. And I think that on the front of the building, it's a distinct possibility that when you remove the vinyl siding in the area of the front door, that small window that's to the right of the front door and so forth, we know that those that door and that window don't align with the window openings that are represented on the second floor. It's a distinct possibility that when you take this siding off, you may discover an original window and door pattern that's not in evidence right now.
Yep.
I don't know if you have also in the photograph that you're looking at right now, the top photograph is a basement window. I don't know what the position of the second floor window is. I don't quite recall where that second floor window is. Do you have a photograph of the whole front of the building?
Yep. Can you see that?
Yes, thank you. You see how the small window to the right of the front door I'd be interested to know when you take the vinyl siding off, what would have been a previous arrangement of that door, that front door and window.
Yep.
So I think, as we have in the past, we have approved the removal of vinyl or aluminum siding, subsequent 20th century sidings over older buildings, with the provision that the applicant return after the removal of the siding to discuss what the original configuration or what original architectural details might be in evidence underneath the vinyl siding. I'm also still inclined to think that the size of these windows that are in evidence on the second floor and the first floor are not original to this house either, that they may have been much bigger and they were downsized in the course of the placement of the vinyl siding and the vinyl and the replacement windows, which are of those windows that are heavily deteriorated, seem to be of about the same construction period as the vinyl siding. So I do think that there is a lot to discover with this building still. The other thing that I would mention is that you had suggested the idea of installing new wood siding, and I'm not clear if this was what you were proposing or not, but you were going to, I thought I heard you say that you would patch the existing siding and then put new wood siding over it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the idea is to clean, I mean, as you saw from those pictures in the email, there's mold, there's paint, lead paint peeling. So I think the idea is to clean the siding underneath. If there are boards that are rotted through and destroyed, which there may be, then it's possible we replace certain boards there or find ways to kind of make that safe. And then the idea, as illustrated in the packet, is to put new wood siding over top of the whole building in place of the vinyl siding.
I think that this is inappropriate concept.
Chip,
Yes.
where were we? I'm trying to follow you.
Yeah.
You had
I think the concept of installing new wood siding to replace the vinyl siding, I think that concept is inappropriate.
How inappropriate?
Because we have under this vinyl siding some original material or earlier material that I think we need to understand how that is part of this building and what the history of this building is, and properly addressing the original material in this building needs to be addressed. There are unknowns. As I started my comments, we frequently will allow the removal of a subsequent siding, such as vinyl or aluminum, but with the provision that the applicant return to the commission with more detail about what's underneath it.
So I get that, but I'm not quite there on the rest of what you're saying. If the all of the Cs of A have a boilerplate piece of language which has to do with discovery and removal of historic detail and features, and that would be true in this case, and it's true in all cases. I'm not 100% with you on where we draw the line. Other than that, of course, if there's something significant underneath, sure, but I'm not convinced what's so wonderful about old wood siding that is probably going to be very difficult to seal and may cause problems going forward. We've let people take off vinyl, aluminum, and other 20th, 21st century materials and side over with wood. I don't think we've ever instructed an applicant to not do that. Even if the underlying features would. If you're talking about discovery of some of the original fenestration and so on, then sure, we can ask the applicant to do a full strip down of the existing and then come back with their perspective. But to mandate that they cannot use wood siding over wood siding, I'm not comfortable, but I'm happy to bounce that off Attorney Logan or Victoria. And anyway, other folks speak out, please. I'm hanging out here, and
I'm in agreement with you, Phil.
was a brilliant architect, and I'm none of those things. Who has thoughts?
I agree with you, Phil. I mean, I think that we've allowed it in the past, so to remain consistent, we can have them put wood over wood.
Other folks, please.
I don't recall anyone putting wood siding over wood siding, but I haven't been here forever. It seems like most people, since I've been on the commission, who have taken off siding have done it, and if there's been wood siding under it, have just repaired what they could and replaced what they couldn't, so that there was just one layer of siding.
Okay.
That's my recollection.
And what's your thought in terms specifically this? How would you approach this particular piece of work?
I don't know. I guess
Okay.
I'd have to give that some thought.
Paul, your mic is on, Paul.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see the original, as much of the original, kept exposed as the true exterior finish, and just repairs where needed. I don't know if I'd want to see the whole thing covered up again.
And if the damage, for example, to the underlying wood structure is significant, just, okay. All right, I understand what folks are saying.
I would just like to further add that if you put wood, if wood siding is placed on top of the existing wood siding, then that new wood siding has a different relationship to the corner board trim, to the window trim, to the there appears to be some type of a decorative fascia on the third floor of this house that they shadowed when they put the vinyl siding on.
Okay.
There are, I expect, some important architectural features to discover when this vinyl siding comes off.
So I would have a question here then, you know, because as last week, as we mentioned, you know, some of the things, some of the terms that you guys use, things like as is, and, you know, I remember that being a term that this was not as is because we're replacing the material. Somebody said, so
Like for like is what you're.
or like for like, okay. So one of the, just to give context again to what we're trying to do here, I mean, we're attempting to fix some of these issues and renovate some of these things, mainly for safety and from decay. I mean, the windows are totally rotted, and the reason why we're taking the siding off is because we have to take the siding off to replace the windows. It's not even something we totally would want to do. We just have to do it. And so we figure, hey, if we have to take the siding off, that vinyl is gross and not historical at all. So why don't we replace it with a more historical material, but something that will last, like treated wood, and repaint the building to a more appropriate color. Now, if that is an issue, like it now feels like maybe we're us trying to do what we thought was something good is now causing a problem, right? Unfortunately, we just don't have the time or the budget or the desire currently to do a whole restoration of this building. It's just not in the cards for us currently. And that might be something that we would want to approach.
If you're replacing the siding, is it that much harder to replace the siding in, I mean, why is it so much easier to go over the existing siding than to replace the siding that's on the building?
I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I do know that dealing with those materials like the wood on the front, I mean, my guess is almost all of that paint on the front of that building is lead paint. That would have to be dealt with a certain way. My guess is most of those wood boards, if they were going to be, you know, actually street facing, are probably too damaged to be so, and would really need to be replaced. And so you're talking about then a patchwork of boards that are, who knows, 80 years old with brand new boards, and how does that look and how does that work together, and kind of then going into the structure and going into the framing. And I think it's just, from my understanding, it's quite a bigger job than just, you know, putting the boards over the top of it. Now, it's not to say that that isn't something we want to do down the line. It's just something we frankly can't really afford to do and don't want to do right now. And, you know, the intention of all of this is to get the building up to kind of a safety and, you know, proper visual level here to rent the building out again. It is a 3-unit rental building that's been sitting empty for about the past year, because we just don't feel it's safe to put tenants in the building with rotted windows and a deck that's falling off and so on and so forth. And all of this is to say, if the mandate is to restore the front old wood facade, and that's something that we feel like we can't do financially or time-wise, then I guess I would revise the packet to just say, we're just going to put the vinyl right back up. And I don't know if the commission then has a right to tell us, no, you can't put the vinyl right back up. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's almost like if this is
It
causing
would be
more
like for
problems,
like,
then it's,
so we wouldn't.
what was that? Sorry?
I said, so then, because then it would be like for like.
Right. And so so if it's causing an issue to replace the material to try to do this thing to make it look nicer, we just won't.
That's reasonable.
Which I think is unfortunate, you know, but we're in a position where we have to get this done, try to get this done before the winter, so we can try to get affordable housing at the bottom of Warren Street for people who need places to live in the winter. And so if replacing that vinyl with wood, it becomes an issue, we just won't do it. We'll just take it off, put the new windows on, and put the vinyl right back up and power wash it and call it good. So that's kind of my point and kind of what I would say to you guys. I think that putting wood over it and painting it a nicer color and doing that right, knowing, you know, we are exploring what's underneath. I have no problem sending pictures and videos of what we find underneath, and part of that process. And again, looking towards down the road, saying, hey, maybe in a few years, okay, we really dive into this and do a full kind of restoration of what this building was. But unfortunately, that's just not in the cards for us right now.
Understand?
Let me just say, there isn't anybody here that is mandating that you do anything. So mandate is not a good word to use. What we're trying to do is to understand this building and understand what you are proposing to do with it. A moment ago, you said something about putting treated material up on the exterior of the building because it would last longer.
Yep.
That is not using pressure treated material on this building is wholly inappropriate as a finished product. So I'm trying to understand what you're saying, and so much of what I'm questioning is so that the board can have an understanding about what you're considering doing, so that we can decide whether it is appropriate or not.
So the specific wood siding is in the packet that was sent out. It's on page 8. It's Lifespan Solid Select Premium Clear Grade Lumber. Says treated to prevent damage caused by insects and the elements. So if you're looking more into what is the exact siding, it's in that packet. It has all the information there.
So it's an interesting, complicated issue in terms of the code defining like for like. So Alex, do you see any way you would be willing to, well, you're going to have to do it, whatever process or whatever way forward is happening, you're going to have to take I assume you have to take the existing siding off.
Correct, but the question then would be, are we replacing that and putting it right back up, or are we putting it in scrap?
I don't,
Else?
well, I hope that's not an option. Where I was hoping we would arrive at is simply following the code at this point on this process, which is that when material is removed, for example, a large existing surface such as siding, the applicant is agreeing by our code to see if there are historic features or details that should be preserved. And I'm very sympathetic with that as an ask. It's what we're supposed to ask when something that doesn't have to be determinative of what goes back up. It simply means that you acknowledge what's there and report back on that. Once that's stripped, once we've talked to one another, if they're interesting discoveries, features, or details, then we go on to the issue of assuming, let me put it this way, assuming that, let's say, 80% of the underlying wood structure is not just salvageable, actually in decent workable shape, cleanable, paintable, and so on. Why wouldn't that be one path forward as a solution?
I mean, it definitely would be. You know, we would just have to get quotes for that kind of work and figure out how much that would cost and how long that would take. It's possible that the kind of skilled craftsmen that would want to restore that sort of stuff wouldn't be available to do it until the spring. So then we're
I'm
sitting there.
overstating restore in the sense of preparing the surface sufficiently so that it takes paint and looks good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer to that until you strip the entire house and bring people in to take a look at it and ask them. I mean, what I do know is that we're already sitting here at the end of October. And if we peel the siding off of the house and replace the windows and then don't have a plan for what happens next, we're going to be in trouble come middle of December when it starts snowing and we don't know what we're allowed to do or not allowed to do to put back on the house or finish the house or how the exterior that's underneath holds up to the winter. I mean, again, there's the vinyl on top of it. There's also a level of insulation there. So these are all things that would be difficult for us to deal with in the middle of winter without a plan. So, you know, what we're hoping is that, you know, we can put this forward to all of you and we know what we're going to do. So we can line those things up and do them in the proper order as the elements start to turn on us.
I think we've covered the ground a little bit fairly. I think then what I think we need to do is vote and see where the commission stands, and then figure out what we have to do for going forward. And what we should vote on is what you are actually proposing and was embedded in the proposal that you submitted at the previous meeting, which is to remove the vinyl. Put in the windows and put a complete surface, as I understand it, of wood siding over it. That is the basic proposal. May I have a motion then to find the application complete? Anyone? Paul? And may I have a second, please, Hugh? So the application is complete. May I have a motion to waive a public hearing and authorize the city attorney to prepare a certificate of appropriateness for this application as it was presented? Hugh?
Motion, yeah.
A second?
I'll second.
Paul, thank you very much. That's been vetted and second. All in favor of requesting the city attorney to prepare a certificate of appropriateness? We'll do that by roll call. Erin, you want to call out the commissioners and ask for an aye or a nay vote on requesting the city attorney to move forward with the C of A on the application as presented by the applicant?
Sure. Chip?
No.
Phil?
Phil? Phil or Philip? I'm aye. That would be a yes.
Aye. Hugh is aye.
Okay.
I'm an aye.
Commissioner Schwartz?
I'm a nay.
Okay. What is your count, Erin?
So we got 3 aye and 2 nay.
It seems to me that with 5 folks, we have a quorum and the motion carries.
Excuse me. I believe that actually a majority of the total voting board is required to approve an application.
So
So
that would be 4 ayes.
that would be 4.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick.
Mhm.
Pardon my math.
It's a tricky situation.
Well, it's tricky too because we're down 2 commissioners. And it doesn't help get the,
John Schobel was trying to get in. He sent an email, but he couldn't get in because the meeting is locked because of the Zoom bombing.
Patrick,
Yes.
would it be acceptable if we vote again with Commissioner Schobel? He had written to me last night saying he was going to be running late. It would be interesting to include him in the vote.
Yes, he could come in. I would be interested in knowing how much of the discussion he may have seen on YouTube, for
Okay.
example. I want to make sure he's up to date on.
Also do a recap on that. Shaheem, can you open the gate so that Commissioner Schobel can get in?
If he's still.
The meeting's unlocked. As soon as he goes in our waiting room, I'll let him in.
Does anybody have his number or something handy to give him a shout?
I don't have it.
Paul, do you have a number?
I don't.
I have his, Phil, I have his email, john.schobel@gmail.com.
I'm just trying to do something a little quicker. Well, try the email, see if we can reach him or if somebody can reach him.
Phil, I'm just texting him now.
Thanks very much, Carol.
John is going to log in right now.
Shaheem, if you're there, oh, you have unlocked it. Looks like Craig was locked out also.
John just texted me saying that he was waiting.
I'm here.
Oh, good.
Hiya.
Okay. I'm just sending something to Craig. So, John, were you tuned into any of this?
No, sir, I was unable to get in.
Nothing from the beginning of the meeting. So the discussion is on 121 Warren.
Mm-hmm.
The applicant, at our request, had removed a sufficient amount of siding to show that the what we'd hoped was a meaningful brick structure behind all the stuff that'd been added on was not. It was 1, 2, maybe 3 courses, and basically a wooden building. the hypothesis or the hope that there was a 18th century brick structure underneath to be discovered is gone. The applicant then obviously asked, and what went on the table was basically the original application, which was new wooden windows, removing all of the vinyl siding from the house, doing basically necessary repairs of what may or may not be original siding, but certainly old siding or older siding underneath, and then doing a complete envelope of new wooden siding up for obvious reasons. You get to seal it, it's easier to paint, it's easier to work with, and so on. Where we went to then was the issue of what HPC does or tries to do, which is sort of discovery. That is working with the applicant. If you remove a shell like that, obviously the code is very clear that if you identify important historic features or information about the original structure, that those be taken to account. Certainly not destroyed, but also if possibly implemented in the work or responded to in the work. The applicant pointed out that they could easily have come to us with a like-for-like proposition, basically replace the windows with new windows and use the vinyl, or put all of the vinyl siding back on, clean it up, and we would now have a vinyl building with new windows. The applicant felt that for a variety of reasons, which the owner is facing, that timing was very important, that they were looking to have a sealed building for the winter that was safe and cozy and usable for whatever use they want to make out of it. So we had a vote, but the attorney Logan pointed out that we needed a majority of the total body. So we had 3 ayes to proceed with the application as proposed, which is a new envelope wood, and 2 nays, but that by definition is a nay vote. To carry this or to carry any motion out of a body of 7 would require a minimum of 4 or so, if I'm correct. So majority of the 7, and that was not even a consideration without you here, John. So we sort of went on pause. The attorney said that it was appropriate to include you in the conversation, and that we could vote again if we wished to with your participation. Folks, is that more or less clear? John, is that clear?
If I may ask, I just have a question or two.
Sure.
So is what's being proposed that all the existing wood on the facade, no matter what, is unearthed, be replaced by new wood? Or are we proposing to remove the vinyl and restore what's there and replace what's not restorable?
We're proposing an, Alex, why don't you answer that?
Yes, so the plan is to remove the vinyl siding because we have to do that to replace the windows. And then with the older wood that's underneath, I don't know if you received the email with the photos of what's on there. I can share my screen.
I would love you to share your screen because the email for some reason is completely, it's been hacked. So.
No worries, let me share my screen again here. So this is what we uncovered. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the idea is to clean this.
Right.
Obviously there's mold there. There's peeling paint.
Uh-huh.
Clean this. Inspect all of that original to see if there may be some around the windows that is totally rotted through that's, you know, dangerous and unsafe structurally. But then the idea is, from our original packet, this is the side of the house, this blue. It's a little bit newer. It's just vanity siding. Is then similar to what they did where they put the vinyl siding on. We would just do that with wood.
Instead of, but why wouldn't you pull this off? Because of cost?
Yeah. So the idea currently is, you know, we're unfortunately not in a position, time or money, to kind of dive into a full restoration of what's underneath. You know, that is something we want to explore and want to get this information. I mean, we've just pulled this siding off for the very first time since the house was purchased in 2014. So we feel like a decision like that to totally restore what's under there, and kind of do all those things is something we really need to think about and understand and gather more information for. Whereas what we're proposing to do right now is just to fix the things that are unsafe and get the house prepared for the winter so we can then rent it out to tenants safely.
Alex, could I ask though, if you put the vinyl siding back on the sides, so can you show me the front? Where's the front?
The front is this light green.
Yeah, so you're gonna just fix that, and if you find clapboard like that, and you're gonna keep that brick exposed, right? And if you find clapboard if you find a board or trim that needs to be repaired, you will repair it or replace like for like, right? The front will be wood and removed, but
so Sorry to interrupt. So the idea here is to, you know, clean and inspect the front here, but then still, like the vinyl siding has been put on top, to put another layer of wood on top. New wood siding on top, similar to the way the vinyl is on. And again, for us, the alternative, and this is, you know, what I explained to the group before the vote, is that, you know, if that's an issue, if we don't like that material or the idea of enveloping the house again, then I would just resubmit the packet as a like for like to put the vinyl siding back up. Because unfortunately, with our time constraints and our budget constraints, we're not in a position to do a full restoration of the exterior of the house.
I understand. Then I don't have to ask a lot more. I'd rather see the house remain enveloped in vinyl until you or a subsequent owner can take a proper restoration of it. I don't think putting wood siding over wood siding is a great way to proceed. But you know, maybe there's a compromise along the lines of what Chip suggested last time. If you have energy and money to envelop this entire house in wood, in a new shell of wood, which in the years I've been on, no one's actually ever proposed to us. Why don't you focus on the facade and leave the rear just restore these boards. They'll look fantastic. Paint the front of the house and leave the rest of it enveloped in vinyl for a later time for you or or a subsequent owner.
Yeah, and that's a consideration. I mean, replacing the vinyl on the side of the house and doing the front
again.
You
have to replace it. Can't you just put it back up and leave the vinyl?
That's what I'm like, literally taking it down, fixing windows and putting it right back
you could have a beautiful facade and a beautiful historic structure, and the rest of the house will come along when you or somebody has the appetite to do it. But I think to envelop the entire facade, I'm sure this has already been said before I got here, envelop the entire structure in a new layer of siding that frankly is even more durable and, you know, like at least for now, doesn't promulgate the mission of our historic district, for lack of a better word. But if you want to put your energy into the facade, if you want to replace, I would totally vote for removing the vinyl siding and restoring the facade if that was before us. And then we don't really have to vote on the vinyl, you're just putting back what was there.
Right, and so the issue is, you know, to get an appropriate, to fully understand what that would take cost-wise, timeline-wise, and restoring that front, you know, we would have to take off all the vinyl siding and have various people come and look at it and talk about that and discuss that. And I personally just don't know what that entails. So, you know, obviously I can't propose that.
We have an architect on the thing, like taking vinyl siding off, and the beauty of Hudson is that this vinyl siding has preserved our entire city. And I've taken vinyl siding off multiple times and have been stunned with the quality of what's underneath and the durability of what's underneath. You could just have this painted and restored, but that's up to you, or leave it vinyl.
Alex?
Yeah.
Let me comment, and forgive me if I'm reaching out of what should be sort of just code based rather than some personal knowledge. It looks like you have the siding underneath is clapboard, and front looks like novelty siding, or what we called it in my youth, novelty siding on the side.
Correct.
It also does not look. I mean, I'm just looking at photographs. First of all, it's quite readily available lumber. It does not look like a lot of the boards are that damaged. You can't tell. But if John's theory is correct, there may be a ton of good wood there. How is it conceivably cheaper or more efficient to buy a full truckload of brand new wood when this simply needs to be, I would reckon, power washed, filled, and painted?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, and I don't think that assumption can be made until all the siding on the entire building is pulled off to see what condition this wood is in, and to understand also the, you know, how will it affect the insulation of the building, so on and so forth. So I think it's, you know, an assumption can be made like that with these kind of 6x6 pieces, but as you remove more, some, you know, other issues may arise. And it unfortunately may not be as simple as that. I have absolutely no problem trying to get an estimate, get quotes, get timelines for things like, you know, restoring the front, restoring the side, to understand the scope of that work. And then, you know, come back to you guys from there and say, hey, you know, because at this point it seems like, you know, replacing the wood, or replacing the vinyl with a new layer of wood is basically out. That doesn't seem like that's going to satisfy the committee. So at this point, I think we have to go back to the drawing board and just kind of get the necessary quotes and timeline for what a restoration, either on just the front or the front and the side, would be. What does that look like? What's that timeline? What's that cost? How easy is that? And then from there, we'll have to make a decision if I submit another packet to you guys, whether it has that restoration or whether it has just putting the vinyl siding right back up.
You don't, Alex, I want to interrupt you just on process. We can approve removing the vinyl siding, right? And you can restore the wood underneath. Unless you're changing something, you don't need we can approve the windows, and we can approve removing the vinyl siding. If you elect not to remove the vinyl siding, that's okay too. You just cancel that aspect of your building permit. So it's super binary for you. The only thing you can't do is reside this building in this historic district without a certificate of appropriateness. But the other two paths are completely open to you with our certificate of appropriateness.
Okay.
What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, then that sounds good. I mean, if that's,
you're going to give it a noodle and have somebody come look at the existing siding, get a sense of.
I mean, I can't, unfortunately can't tell the committee what we would do, because I have no idea how long that would take or how much that
Phil
costs.
and Alex, I have to say this one more time, and I'm sorry, I'm sure you're sorry you called me in here. We don't actually have to, he doesn't have to decide, and we can still give him, he doesn't have to come back to us with anything. You can give him a certificate of appropriateness authorizing him to remove the vinyl siding. It will have the same stipulation as it always does. If you find any detail that you intend to change, or anything that you intend to change, except replacing that board like we see on the screen, or anything, if you're going to leave it as it is and just clean and paint it, you don't need anything but our permission to remove the vinyl siding. If you end up not removing the vinyl siding, then you don't need our permission to do anything there either. You're just replacing the windows and putting the vinyl siding back. So you could get a certificate of appropriateness in 2 weeks to do this work.
We can do, Alex. John's point is well taken, and I don't regret having him back. Well, a little bit, but no, it was
Well,
very.
welcome to my, welcome to everybody who has to Zoom with me all day, every day.
No. It was very well taken. Alex, we can, as John said correctly, we can approve, I believe that we have the votes to approve a C of A, approving the removal of the vinyl siding and the new windows. If you were simply doing repair work on the underlying wood structure and choose that path, you don't need to come back to HPC. Do all that through Craig. And similarly, if you're gonna leave the vinyl in place or put the vinyl back, you don't need us. All that is through Craig. So your work with HPC, and you may be pleased to hear this, could be done. And we could say that the commission authorizes a C of A for removal of the vinyl siding and putting the windows in. And then you go from there and then come back if something changes. What do you say?
Sounds good.
Good.
Alex, can I tell you one thing and then free you of us and me? I live at Columbia Street and McKinn Street across from the hospital in a 5,200 square foot house. I took all the siding off and replaced like 6 boards. Like the quality of that original, particularly on the facade, like clapboard is infinitely better than you could find today, and it will be easily scrapable and paintable for a reasonable cost underneath.
What's your rate, John?
I'm infinitely more expensive than you can afford, but I can.
Well, then we might have a problem.
On the other hand, he can consult. I like where we are. John, I totally appreciate your contribution on this discussion. May I have a motion? We found the application, I guess, complete. May I have a motion to request the city attorney to waive a public hearing and to prepare a C of A, specifically that HPC authorizes the applicant to install the new windows as were proposed in the application and to remove the vinyl siding. You don't need us for a repair or paint. May I have that motion, please?
I make that motion.
Paul, thank you so much. Philip, a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Your Honor.
Patrick, I'm sorry, just one more thing. I would remind you that these certificates of appropriateness include the language that if any alteration is to be made once the siding is removed, they have to return to us. There's language in there in the previous one.
There is, of historic details and so on. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, but we're done. We voted.
Okay.
Al?
Thank you so much. Sorry to be so difficult. I appreciate all of your input.
The point you raised is important, and there is a conundrum where the like for like can become enemy of the good, even though of course we have to make that available. So it's complicated. Thanks so much for bearing with.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
Alex,
everyone.
thank you very much, Alex.
Yeah, thanks, Chip. Thank you.
You're a good sport. Bye-bye.
I'm trying. Thanks, guys.
Okay. The just one more item, and then folks can go off. The city clerk's office asked that we all the commissions, not just us, take a look at the calendar going forward and make a call on whether any meetings should be changed or taken off the calendar. I did send that as part of the agenda, but just to recap real quickly going forward, we have November 13, November 27, December 11, and December 25th. So those are the 4 meetings remaining in 2020. Our first meeting, FYI, in 2021 is January 8th. I don't think December 25th is going to be a good date for people. So my suggestion to the commission is that we simply eliminate the proposed meeting for December 25th, and we jump from December 11th to January 8th. But any comments or thoughts on the calendar going forward? Okay,
That's fine.
then
Phil,
I'll
Excuse me,
advise.
Phil,
Yeah.
did you say November 27th?
I did. It's the day after
So
Thanksgiving.
that's the day after Thanksgiving?
No
Yeah.
one wants to be on that day.
Yeah, that's.
I
It's
was
a
going to say
universal holiday.
our
Good
office is
point.
closed that day.
So
Phil.
like, could you have we ever done it so that we offered them another day? Like, we
Yes.
should put one more meeting in there.
Oh, no,
Phil,
we do. We do. We
Phil,
can do whatever we want in terms of days. It's good for everyone, probably except me and Craig, and certainly for me. I won't speak for Craig. Anytime we miss a meeting, it does not make life easier. It makes it multiple more complicated in terms of paperwork. Be that as it may,
Phil,
November 25th, we're taking off, I think. And what do you
Craig
want to do?
wants to speak, Phil.
Yes.
I was going to bring this up as well. I know last year what we did, if I recall, is instead of going from the second and fourth Friday of these months for the holidays of November and December, I believe we moved it to the first and third Friday of the month. And then we use December, if needed, to have that second meeting. Because I remember last year, I don't think we had any proposals in the month of December.
Right.
But to go from November or even one meeting in December all the way till January, that's quite a prolong, I think. Just my
Oh.
suggestion.
agree.
I think that's a good suggestion, because if we go to November 6th, that's 2 weeks from now, which keeps us in a kind of a 2-week pattern. So November 6th,
November 20.
Yep.
and then November
December
20.
4 and December 18.
Okay, just to repeat, November 6, November 20, December 4, and December 18.
Yes.
Craig, thank you.
And then in January, you go back to your second and fourth, because there's going to be that time frame from, Christmas holiday week till the first of the year anyhow. So.
Okay. So all good. I will send a notification as requested to the city clerk, and that will be posted on the calendar. And again, just for kicks, November 6, November 20, December 4, and December 18. Schedule going
And then
forward.
what is our January?
January 8th, which I believe is the second Friday.
Yep.
That's good.
Done. Thank you very much, all y'all. That's all I got, unless folks have some new business. Not so much. Then thank you, everyone. Yeah,
Is Patrick a temporary sub, or is he permanent sub?
I'm
Patrick.
just temporary.
Okay. Hi, Patrick. Thanks
Victoria
for being
sent a
here.
note saying that she had a colleague in the office who loved commissions.
I do. Can't get enough of them.
Can't get enough.
And I think Victoria had a conflict. Thank you for joining us, Patrick. It's
Thanks,
appreciated.
Patrick.
Oh, no problem
Bye,
at
y'all.
all.
All right, and thank everybody. Cheers.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.